So the next thing I wanted to talk about is dockets. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what I say when I say dockets. Do you guys normally check your dockets regularly?
No.
Okay. The dockets is you go to, like, let's say Alachua County. So you go to alachuaclerk.org and you're going to look up a civil search. Probably the first thing is, if you're a realtor who's looking at how do I get dockets, call your courthouse. Say, I want to be able to track how the foreclosure is progressing in this house. For example, here's a story I got from an email from an agent that didn't understand dockets. Didn't understand. And what I mean when I say dockets is the tracking of the foreclosure case. They may start a foreclosure today, and then it may take 18 months to go through. It may take 6 months. But if you got to know what's the next thing they filed. Did they just file their motion for summary judgment? Did they just do this? Did they just do that? Are they foreclosing on the house tomorrow? And are short sales in vain? Or do we have plenty of time and not have to worry about the pressure they're putting on me to accept a lower price or this or that? Not a lower price, lower commission or anything else. But what happens is, here's a story from an agent who didn't understand dockets. This person says, an agent in my office currently has a listing under contract. It's a short sale. The sad thing is that Bank of America notified the sellers that they'd foreclosed in October when in fact they had not. The agent didn't know about dockets, so they could pull the wool over their eyes. Said they'd foreclosed in October. A valuable time and a buyer were lost during this fiasco. The deal is currently awaiting approval. There's no telling what will happen in the end. So what it kind of sounds like is they had a buyer. The bank person comes back and says, oh, the house has already been foreclosed. Agent doesn't know any better. They tell the buyer does whatever, cries, and goes off and buys another house. Then they find out the house has not been foreclosed. That buyer's already gone. They have to resell the house, go through all that work all over again. So, for example, call up your local courthouse and ask them. And the biggest thing is you're going to see a docket and you'll say, what does this thing mean? What does that thing mean? What does that thing mean? Motion for summary judgment, summons, a motion to strike, blah, blah, blah. All these legal things. You're never going to know unless you've been reading them for a long time what they mean, how soon the house is going to be foreclosed, and this and that. For example, in Florida, right now the foreclosure case at a minimum, I have not seen any foreclosure cases go faster than this in the last 2 years. Minimum of 6 months. So if they filed their list pendants in February, they're not going to be foreclosing until August. Then if you also have a motion for summary judgment, and I know I acronym this, but I've also write these things down all the time. Motion for summary judgment. If you see that, let's say you got it on 11/15. 11/15, you've got about 60 to 90 days after that. If you see a motion for default, you've got about 90 to 120 days. And if they say the summons are issued or the summons have been served, you've got 4 to 6 months. You've almost got as much time. A lot of these cases, for example, we just did a short sale. We closed on it in October. They started the foreclosure case in August 2008. We started the short sale on June of 2009. But if you look at the docket, they went and filed for foreclosure August 2008. They filed 3 things. It came to September 2008, and then it just went into purgatory. Nothing got filed. The lawyers for the bank didn't chase it down, and the house just sat there. Lady moved to Jacksonville. She didn't live there anymore. She thought about declaring bankruptcy, didn't declare bankruptcy, all these issues. But that attorney in that bank, in this case Countrywide, didn't chase it down and say, you know what, we need to foreclose this house. We ended up selling it for $150. If they'd done a better job with their foreclosure and got it done in 6 months, because she didn't even fight them, they could have foreclosed on the house and had it sold in spring, and they could have sold it for $105 a square foot. This was in Newberry versus $85 a square foot. So this is just some of the stuff to track. Go to the courthouse, or don't go there, but call them. Or in our case, in our town, go to columbiaclerk.com or .org, and then at the top you'll have the right-hand thing to click. You click there, and you go to case search, and you can actually pull up the docket and see what's happening with the house. Because if you don't know the docket, you have no idea. I had a negotiator, she's trying to shove me to take less commission and to push the buyer to pay more and all this stuff. She said, we're just about ready to foreclose the house. And then I looked it up. It wasn't the case. We still have another 3 months. So if you don't know anything about the dockets, it's hard to negotiate with them because they could foreclose in the house tomorrow and you just be gone. You don't know any better.